Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. In this day and age, it is very difficult to feel a sense of pride with what you're doing, with yourself, with everything around you because of social media, because of Facebook, because of YouTube, because of all the other options that there are to look at other people's lives in different ways. It can easily make you feel very isolated, not proud of yourself, embarrassed to show anything of what you're doing, and it really takes a hit on your self-esteem. And right now, I'm here to tell you guys that it's okay if it's ugly. It's okay if your dream is messy. It's okay if what you're doing looks like a big, ginormous cluster. You get the point. It's okay if it's a mess. It's okay if things aren't perfect. The most important thing is that you're keeping going, you're keeping trying, you're continuing on, and you're following after a dream. It takes years to get a homestead established to where it's no longer in the ugly phases, unless if you have massive amounts of money and a tremendous amount of help. For us, we don't have that. Everything that we've done has been very much starting slowly, scraping by with what we have, being resourceful, making do with what we have in front of us, even if it turns into something very ugly. And that makes it very challenging to want to share this on YouTube, to show different things, to show the realities, and to show different aspects of life. Because by all accounts and purposes, if you were to look at any other YouTuber or homesteader or anything like that that's on, the internet and stuff, they're constantly showing you how beautiful this life is, to try to entice you into falling for it, to fall in love with this. It's kind of like when you're doing an internet dating thing, which I've never done. I met my wife through work, so it's kind of a weird situation. But on those internet dating things, it is the absolute best picture that you could have of somebody, not with their hair being all crazy like this because they're about to build something weird. It is, showing off all of the best and all of your best. It's a very narcissistic approach to life. And that is, I feel, how a lot of different internet entertainment type of people are, is they are just showing what is the best, not what is real, not what is the way that it looks. And that creates such a disconnect between new homesteaders and seasoned homesteaders, because as a seasoned homesteader, if you've been at it on the same property for, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, your property is going to look a lot different than what it does if you're in year 1 or year 2, or if you bought a fixer-upper that you could barely afford to even do. Things look different. And I'm here to show you right now that it's okay if you don't have nice equipment. It's okay if it's barely scraping by, if it's a hodgepodge mess of repurposed things, because that is reality. Our barn is nothing nice. It needs redone like nobody's business. We have broken pieces of plywood, missing places, gaps, cracks, holes, broken windows that we then just shoved scrap pieces of hardware cloth from building rabbit tractors over the broken panes of glass, simply so that way raccoons couldn't get in. I don't show this because of the fact that, it's hideous. To me, I don't like looking at it, so why am I going to force anybody else to look at it? But this is the reality of what I live with. Right now, I'm working with our lawnmower that the cover burnt off of it because there was some weird sticker on it. So, caught on fire. No big deal. This mower was free to us. It doesn't matter if it looks like crap because it mows the grass. It's able to haul our little utility cart that we just got this year. Prior to us being able to buy this past year, we started out with using 5-gallon buckets to carry every scoop of manure out of our garage in town, which was a lot of rabbit poo that we then were spreading across our garden and doing different things like that with. And 5-gallon buckets get very heavy when they're filled with wet manure. Then from there, about a year or so later, we upgraded to having a wheelbarrow because we did not have the money to just buy a wheelbarrow from the start. Even though it was only like a $50 wheelbarrow, we did not have the money for that. Virtually every tool that we have, like shovel, hoe, rake, things of that nature, have come to us either by people giving them to us or us getting them for like $1 or $2 at a garage sale. Pretty much every aspect of homesteading for our lives have been scraping by, scrounging materials up, and making do. But when you're doing it like that, things don't look perfect. For instance, I'll show you our buck goat and his companion's hut that they have right now. This here was an old doghouse that my in-laws let me use. It was just sitting in their field rotting away. So I converted it and I made it into, essentially, I cut one side of it off. So then that way, when we had pigs, it was used as a pig hut. And then we needed to change it into being a hut for Burr and Ferdy, which are these handsome guys right down here. Then I added on with scrap pieces of metal roofing that I found on the property here. I added that roof on to make an addition to it. It took one day to do this, and I have like pieces of log down at the bottom that create the floor joists for that little expansion of their hut area. It is not pretty by any means, shape, or form, but it functions. The nice thing about building animal enclosures are, as long as the animal is kept safe and protected, they don't care what it looks like. It's just the humans that care what it looks like. All they care about is that nothing's going to come in there and attack them, and that they can get out of the rain. In saying that, what I'm going to be building today is going to be the most hodgepodge, thrown together pieces, parts sort of thing, because our truck broke down. I cannot go, even though we can afford to do this right now, we could afford to go to Menards and get the pieces of metal roofing, so that way it'll all be seamless and perfect and look nice. To be quite honest, this guy right here destroys stuff because of wanting to scratch in between his horns, which, you know, I can scratch for him, but then my hands stink for days afterwards. That oil of a buck and rut, you cannot get rid of that stench. So what I'm going to be doing is, over in here are scrap pieces of metal roofing that I've been hanging on to for doing different projects. So I have this piece here that's a nice long big piece. Behind that is another piece. These have actual holes in them from being used when my wife was a kid. She had built a clubhouse in the woods of her childhood property, and that's part of that roofing. I found it in their woods when we were living there temporarily, and I was like, hey, can I use this? And it's been moved with us ever since. It's been used to do multiple different projects. Every single one of our rabbit tractors is built from scrap pieces of metal roofing, and then different like pieces of pallets or scrap pieces of lumber. It's okay if things are messy. These pieces right here of metal roofing, when we got our barn roof replaced last month, I actually asked the contractor to just leave all of the odds and ends pieces. So these pieces, even though, you know, it's not very big, these are going to end up becoming parts of Burr and Ferdy's new hut. There are a couple pieces of scrap metal about the same size that are up in the woods that I'm going to be grabbing too. So it's going to be a mix of red and silver and I don't even know, rust colored, a bunch of different colors just to make this hut that's going to go here, because we don't have a truck right now. It's in the shop. We can't go get materials. I have a bunch of scrap materials that are just laying around. And this is what I encourage you all to do if you're starting out. It'll also build your carpentry skills if you just start collecting materials and repurposing them, using them, making something out of nothing or making something out of trash. Homesteading is expensive for the things you can't control, like the geese barking at me. But things are expensive with that aspect of homesteading, and things that you can control the cost on is what you're building with, is being frugal, is being resourceful, is repurposing things and scrounging for different pieces and parts whenever you find them. It's very easy on Facebook, on Marketplace, to see people giving away a free shed or free junk lumber or come take my deck apart because I don't want it anymore. Those sorts of things, which I've done that before, which the deck that I took apart, well actually it was already taken apart, I just had to haul it out of there with my truck. Those pieces, parts that I got from that deck are actually going to be what creates the foundation for their new hut. Building things out of broken pieces, out of repurposed things, out of salvaged materials, out of pallets or whatnot, not only builds your carpentry skills, it also allows you to be extremely creative, solve problems, and build things for just the cost of screws, which is really not that expensive. You know, if you don't have a drill, you could probably find one on Marketplace for pretty cheap, or just get nails and hammers. Doing things the old-fashioned way of learning how to build with your hands will save you so much money. We have built so many different things on this homestead that if we would have had to hire somebody out to do it, we still wouldn't even be started homesteading pretty much, because building things is expensive. I know a lady that used the same guy that we use, the same contractor that we use for our roofing. He's a very nice Amish guy, very affordable. She was having him build her a chicken coop that was about, I think it was like a 10 by 12 chicken coop, and it was going to be like $6,000 or $7,000 just to build a chicken coop. Whereas I could build the exact same thing out of, you know, repurposed materials and scrounged up bits and pieces that, you know, sure, it takes time to accumulate them, but I could build that same thing for probably under $100. That's a big difference. That is like well over a couple years worth of animal feed in price difference. Those are the things that are expensive to do if you can't do them yourself, is to build things and create things. Anyways, the moral of what I'm trying to say is, Don't be afraid to keep posting it, to show it, to shine your light, and to do what you're doing, even if other people don't find it beautiful. Even if other people think, what's the big deal? That looks like terribleness. That looks like crap. That is not nice looking. You shouldn't show that. I'm telling you right now, show the ugly. Show the real. Show the truth. Change the world by showing what is reality, not just this picture perfect thing, because all the picture perfectness does is cause beginners to feel like they are failing and falling apart. To be quite honest, I've been in that position where I've looked at other homesteaders and gone, man, I'm not even a real homesteader because I don't even have this, or I don't even have that, or we don't have an actual tractor. When we bought this property, we had a push mower. Okay, that was like the gist of it, is what we had. That's a lot to push mow when you have 2 acres of land. Granted, part of ours is wooded, so that, kind of changes things. But it's okay if you're starting small. It's okay if you're starting slow. It's okay if it's ugly. It's okay if you're moving forward at a snail's pace, or if you're just starting with 1 raised bed or 1 pot that you have tomatoes growing in. Everyone has to start from somewhere. Everyone has to learn from something and from somewhere. And I'm telling you right now, when a first grader is first starting to read or do math or do any of the things like that, it is not pretty. It is not good or anything of the sort like that. However, the parents and the teachers are still going to celebrate because of the fact that they're trying, they're growing, they're learning something new. It's the same thing. These skill sets that we are learning now and that other people are learning now, it's not like we grew up doing this sort of thing. For most of us, it is watching other people on the internet and then duplicating that with our own lives. But when you're doing that sort of a thing and there's people that are making thousands of dollars a month just by showing you the beautiful stuff, it'll easily make you feel like you are falling behind and that you are failing. And I'm telling you, you are not. The most important thing is to just keep going. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.